Hey, everybody.
What's up?
It's Allison.
And Kevin.
And it's Motzei Shabbos of Parshat Bo.
There are some podcasts that I like to listen to. One of them is called We Should All Be Zionists by Einat Wilf. And one is Near and Far, I think it's called, with Nir Eyal. And they read articles that they've written and then reflect on them and have like little post commentary on them. So I think we're going to try to do that style.
We'll see. I mean, I wanted to say, so just to set the scene a little bit, this Shabbos was our last official Shabbos at MJE in the city. And it was a really special Shabbos. We spoke Friday night at the MJE dinner, the Friday night dinner that they put on, and we're going to share that speech with you. But then we also, Shabbat Day, Rabbi Wild spoke beautifully, and he shared some sweet words about us and gave us a gift, and it was very emotional. And we also said some words to the community, and then we had a Surachli sheet hosted by Marissa and Yair Biton. So sweet of them.
Third meal.
And
closing out Shabbat with Havdalah.
We had some beautiful singing, and people shared different memories and gave us brachas. And then we had a dance party after Shabbos with Eden being the star of the show. It was just a really special way to send us off. And we couldn't have asked for a better Shabbos. I mean, we could have if the weather was a little bit warmer, but it's fine. We made do. It was great.
It was very, very special. And what I was saying is like to read this premeditated speech in terms of more off the cuff and then do like a post facto reflection on how it's hitting us or how Shabbat was.
So I guess I cheated and I read ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was
goes nothing.
Yeah. Let's make it happen.
Okay.
Are we gonna edit the speech or say it as we said it?
I think we're gonna do our best to entertain the folks and also say our speech.
This is like, you know, how it says on the airplane, like edited from its original like screen to fit this. Formatted. Exactly.
Well, here goes nothing. So, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Allison.
And I'm Kevin, and we've been involved with the MJ community for the past 4.5 years.
Tonight, we're experiencing a very full circle moment. The last time we were standing here as featured speakers of an MJE Friday night dinner, it was actually our very first Friday night meal at MJE.
And now we're standing, or I guess now we're sitting here saying L'hitraot.
Which means see you later and not goodbye.
Because in just under a month, we're going to be packing up our bags and moving to Tel Aviv and bringing the Jewish Experience name with us to the holiest coastal city in the world.
So 4.5 years ago, we had just moved to New York after spending our first year of marriage in Israel, where Kevin became a rabbi and I did not become a rabbi, and I ate lots of good food and had a great time. And we needed to come back to New York because I needed to finish my studies. So before we came back, we were looking for different opportunities where we can really contribute to a community and learn Torah with people and find a community that is really interested in looking to grow along with us. And luckily, we connected with Rabbi Wild and Jill, who made space for us to fit right into this community that they've built. That's been incredibly, incredibly special.
And before we get into more of it, we do want to dedicate our words of Torah tonight and in general that we share to the Aliyat Neshama, the elevation of the soul of Rabbi Wild's beloved father, who passed away last week, Levi ben Avram Tzvi, alav shalom.
So we've known that we've always wanted to move to Israel. It's been a long time coming. When I was 6 years old and visited Israel for the first time for my brother's bar mitzvah, I don't remember this, but my mom does as clear as day. She says, I turned to her and I said to her, like, this is home. And she's like, how do you know that? You're 6 years old. Where did you hear that from? She's just like so flabbergasted that came out of my mouth. But it was true.
And on our first date, Allison and I went to a place in the West Village called Fat Cat, which I think has been renamed Cellar Dog, maybe that new ownership or something. But it's this cool jazz bar downtown. We went there at 2 p.m. in the afternoon when it was popping.
There were no drinks and there were no jazz.
But they did have...
and there were no people. It was literally us.
But we played backgammon and pool. And it was nice.
And we had water.
And we had water.
Best water I've ever had.
It was good. And on our way out of the bar, we started walking uptown. And Allison asked me, like, I just want to know if you want to continue, like, I need you to commit. I was like, what do you want me to commit to? Like, this is our first date. It's a little much. She's like, I just want to make sure that you're committed to making Aliyah. And
if he wasn't on board, he knew that we'd be going our separate ways. Talk about ultimatums.
I wasn't 100% sure, but yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm planning on making Aliyah in a few years. I want to be near my siblings. But this is something that we let MJE know when we first started out with them. We gave them a 4-year notice, which is pretty generous. People usually give a week, a month, maybe a year notice. But we told Rabbi Wild very explicitly by the end of 2023, we're planning on making Aliyah. Then October happened and didn't seem like the calmest time to move to the Middle East. But hopefully we'll be there in a month.
Yeah, here we are moving next month, please God. And so in the community that we grew up in, it's really admirable and special to make Aliyah, right? It's a really important thing. It's very much a part of the culture of like the Zionistic feel within our community and within our schools, which is always funny when people's parents like start freaking out when people talk about moving to Israel, because it's like, what'd you expect? These are the camps, these are the schools, these are the lessons and values that we talk about. These are the words we say in our prayers. So we're just following it through on our educational ideals. But nonetheless, it's still very special, and parents are generally very proud. But when we tell people that we're moving to Israel that are outside of these circles, they're often confused and skeptical or just like surprised. Often among Israelis. That's where we meet the most pushback. But
especially American.
Yeah, big time.
Like, it's like, we just left Israel. You're going back there? What are you doing? But
hopefully with our time in Tel Aviv, we'll develop better American Israeli accents.
Yeah.
We promise.
We'll be good. A lot of times people will ask, like, oh, were you born there? Are you moving back there?
And technically, we are moving back after 2,000 years, but that's not why they were asking that question.
They'll also ask, like, oh, do you have a lot of family there? And I say, well, my brother lives there, and really all the Jewish people, Zachinu Kol Beit Yisrael, we're all brothers and sisters, but that's probably not what they mean.
They also ask, are you moving for work? And thank God, because with the start of Tel Aviv Jewish Experience or Tribe Jewish Experience, whatever the name will be, our answer could be yes, but in reality, that's not the reason why we're moving. And also on that note, if you're interested in supporting our work in Tel Aviv, feel free to make a donation on MJ's website and say that it's for the Tel Aviv Jewish Experience, or there'll be something around Tel Aviv. You could also just write it in Allison and Kevin, Israel. Would all be greatly appreciated. But we aren't really moving for work. We're moving because we really like authentic Israeli hummus.
It's like,
can't get that here.
After Shabbat now,
yeah,
I could go for a little hummus, but really what we're moving for is a tchina. And if you know, you know that tchina is where it's at. But the real reason is that that's where our souls feel connected. That's where we feel a natural sense of spirituality and connectedness to our authentic and best selves and really feel most alive. And it feels like a place where we're meant to be. It says in Devarim, Perek Yud Aleph, the 11th chapter of Deuteronomy, Eretz Asher Hashem Elokecha Doresh Ota Tamid Einei Hashem Elokecha Ba.
It is a land which Hashem your God looks after, on which Hashem your God always keeps an eye. And if we want to play a role in the greater story of the Jewish people, we should be planting our roots and setting the foundation for our daughter, Eden, and please God, one day future children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren to help our homeland flourish.
When we're going to Israel with just one kid, there are definitely going to be Israelis who are like, just one, come, yalla, more kids, you need. Is my Israeli accent getting better or still?
I think it's the same as last time, which means we need improvement.
But we do understand firsthand the logistical, emotional, and potential financial constraints or struggles of moving to Israel. So if that doesn't seem in the cards for you yet, then why are we sharing this story? What do we want you to take from our journey and our thoughts on this?
Obviously, we'd love for everyone to join us in Israel.
Come, yalla.
Yalla. But the most important thing is that we want you to reflect on the concept of where you should be. We've always felt like we should be in Israel. And so we're finally about to fulfill that vision. But some people don't necessarily have that clarity or even reflect on the question until a big moment or event jolts them into the mindset of, where am I going and what am I doing with my life?
This past week on Wednesday, I was at an Israeli tech event in Midtown, and there was someone there who was looking like a little disgruntled, looking around, kind of like to talk to people, not in the best mood though. So I went over to him and I was like, hey, what's up? Like, what are you here for? He's like, well, I've been working at this place for the past few years. And then I realized that they're really anti-Semitic and they hide it behind this veil of wokeness and I can't stand it anymore. It's like, well, sounds like a pretty hostile work environment. Like, where are you working? How are you dealing with this? So he said, I work at Harvard.
And I hate Claudine Gay.
He said a few more adjectives about Claudine Gay, but I was a little bit surprised, but also not surprised. And then he said, I've had a very successful career for the past 40 years, been CEOs of multiple companies. I worked at Microsoft in the 90s and done a lot, but I haven't done a single thing for Israel or for the Jewish people throughout my entire career. And he had this sense of regret and that he wanted to rectify that. And he said, after seeing the horrific attack on October 7th, and especially the reaction on campus and from taking a recent trip to Israel, that he wants to invest in Israel and try to contribute more.
And in this week's Parsha, we receive our first mitzvah as a nation, which is Rosh Chodesh. It says, HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodeshim. This month shall mark for you the beginning of the month. So essentially what would happen is people who saw the new moon would come to the Jewish courts and testify that the new moon was here. They'd answer some questions, and then the new month would be declared.
And the Sforno, a medieval Jewish commentator, states and asks why the new month was given as the first mitzvah to the Jewish people as a nation. So he states, from now on, these months shall be yours to do with as you like. But in years when you were enslaved, when you had no control over your time, you had to work for others and do their will. Therefore, this will be the beginning of months, because this is the beginning of the reality for you to choose. And so through this mitzvah of declaring the new month, we're taught to take ownership over our time, over how we use our freedom. No need to wait for a big moment or event to happen, whether that be in your personal life or in the national story of the Jewish people, the opportunity is there for you to seize each and every month. HaChodesh hazeh lachem. The new month is for you.
And the people who we have seen flourish in personal happiness and fulfillment in New York City, which, by the way, could be a difficult place to be happy in, especially when it's bitter cold out, you're getting shoved in the subway, and you know that your shoebox shouldn't cost you that much, are the people that have made the most of their time living in New York City by tapping into the incredible resources available to them.
They don't only go to Broadway shows, but they also go to one-on-one learning. They attend classes and lectures. And more than anything, they're curious about how they can connect to the Jewish community in a whole host of ways. There's no right time to begin getting involved in the Jewish community. The time is yours. Whenever you seize that opportunity, it's there. Some people started coming after high holidays or after Passover. Some just showed up on a random Friday night dinner and decided to show up the next week, and then maybe they missed a week after that. You don't want to go 3 weeks in a row, look too desperate, or feel like you're jumping in too quickly. But then the week after, they came back, and then they just kept coming. And some of them came after the MJ Winter Retreat, which is the first week in February, which I guess is...
It's sold out. Sorry, guys.
Sold out. Not advertising for it.
Get on the wait list for next year. Apply.
But it's in 2 weeks, and that's definitely been a time or a place that we've seen people hop in.
Yeah, and I actually met one of my dearest friends on the MJE Ski Retreat. Well, I met at least 3 really dear friends, but amazing.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. But one in particular, she just decided to come on the retreat because she liked to ski. Even though you don't have to be a skier to go on the winter retreat, it's for everybody. There's arts, there's crafts, there's a hot tub that works sometimes. But
salivating.
There's salivating. It's a great time. But she didn't necessarily, she wasn't so affiliated or so involved in her Judaism. She had a Jewish identity, but she wasn't so observant by any means. And she just wanted to come to have a good time, go skiing. And she whipped out her mom's snowsuit from the 80s. It was unbelievable. I'm like, you need to be my best friend. Like when I saw that, I'm like, me and you right now, that's it. It's over. And so soon after the retreat, we got coffee. Then we started learning together. We were going through the alphabet and what the different letters mean. And she's an artist. So we also spoke about the shapes of the letters and how that has deeper meanings and different ramifications for the world in a, what's the right word that I'm looking for? In a very metaphysical way. And we learned a bunch together, and within 2 years we were celebrating at her chuppah, and now she has the most beautiful daughter, Poo, that's very similar age to our daughter Eden, and she's living a very fulfilled, engaged Jewish life.
And it's really that attitude of, why not go on that trip? Why not start now? Let me give Torah learning a real shot. Let me make the most of the incredible spiritual teachers and potential friendships that I could foster here in New York or wherever you find yourself, but like being curious and seeing potential. And that mindset has led to the growth and happiness of countless Jews around this city and around the world who really take advantage of their Yiddishkeit.
And these questions of why not start now, let me give this a shot, changing that attitude, those were all things that we've asked ourselves too, from the very start of our journey with MJE until now. And just being open, being curious, being intentional with our time has helped us develop really deep friendships, unique and special memories, and endless personal growth.
And we can't sufficiently thank Rabbi Wilds and Jill for taking a chance on us, a very young couple with minimal experience in giving dating advice.
Which is not in the MJE job description, but should be. And if anyone needs, we're much more skilled these days. We have 4.5 years of practice.
Aside from giving dating advice, we just had a maximum willingness to contribute to the Jewish people. And we really learned a lot from the community from the role models that we've seen here for what it means to dedicate yourself to the Jewish people, what it means to be a part of the Jewish people, how to strive for perfection, even if that's not achievable, and how to show your love for Hashem, how to be intellectually honest and vulnerable, and how to, live a holy life. As my Rabbi Aaron likes to say, holy is spelled with a W, a real holy and wholesome life.
Yes, and you forgot one other thing about Rabbi Wiles and Jill, which is they taught us how not to age. It's unbelievable.
You do still look very young now.
Thank you. I got some time. But also thank you to the rest of the MJE staff, Rabbi Ezra, Leah, Aaron and Leora, Shana and Moshe, Michal, Ellie, for all of your support and help. And Deb also, Jerry, Vinny, for continuing to serve the community that we absolutely love and adore.
And we really do want to thank that community, the MJE community, the Upper West Side community, for inspiring us with your curiosity, your thirst for Torah, friendship, the free babysitting, and I guess really like the friends that Eden's made. Like,
yeah,
those are kind of her friends, her babysitters or MJE fans, and helping us be better Yidden, be better Jews and better servants of Hashem, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So please come visit us in Tel Aviv and the rest of your brothers and sisters in Israel. Israel might look intimidating from afar right now, especially with all the images in the news, but the warm embrace of the Tel Aviv sun and the Jewish people will make you feel relaxed in no time.
And just, B'ezrat Hashem, we are able to make the most of our remaining time here on the Upper West Side before, B'ezrat Hashem, we head off to the Holy Land and to cherish your time that you're able to spend with friends and family, because it's very cliche to say, but time moves quick, and Chodesh Hazeh Lachem. No time like the present to say, this is my month, this is my time to take advantage and to seek out those opportunities and to own it, to own your time in a healthy way, not like those productivity hacks, but like feel shalom with your time.
Shabbos.
I don't know. That's usually the amount of time that our podcast goes.
I know. Do we even need to reflect, or if we just let everybody else reflect instead?
You could pause now.
Yeah, pause now, reflect, and then bring it back.
No, let's give a little bit of reflect. Do these words hit you different than what you were thinking about pre-Shabbos, post-Shabbos?
No, I think I feel like just the part about the love that I feel for the community has grown over the Shabbos. It's funny because you don't know how people necessarily perceive you or view you or how you've impacted them or the trajectory of their life until they tell you. It's like you'd like to think like, okay, I'm dedicating part of my life to this community and to helping people grow, but and you just hope that goes for something, but you don't really necessarily get to hear it from them. You get to see it. You see it in their actions. You see it in the way that they reflect on things. You see it in them showing up to things. You see it in many ways, but some ways you don't see it, or some ways it's just one interaction here. They disappear for a couple of years, and then they come back and they tell you how that interaction did change their lives. So I think that has made those words about just how special the community is and how much we love them and that we're going to miss them and that we can't wait for them to visit, just makes those words all the more meaningful and true.
Yeah. I think one thing that's really interesting that I was thinking about is the way certain messages hit people and how it's affected people's lives. Like after speaking about this on Friday night, someone was like, oh, this is so relevant to entrepreneurship and working for yourself and being your own boss, which I thought was really interesting. And then two other reflections that I had on this was, so I was saying to Allison how she gave a woman's class and she asked everyone to make a decision for this next week, not just an intention, but to like think about how they're going to act on it. And this was something they didn't be meaning to act on, and then they acted on it that week. And like a chodesh zelachem, like it's your time now. Like you can make it your own. And someone else was saying, and this is just another way that this Torah is hitting me now, that Allison welcomed them. She was like the first person that welcomed them in New York, and that helped them feel comfortable being in shul and being like a part of a Jewish community. I'm like, like this month is yours, like this Judaism is yours, and like you could feel ownership, you could feel comfortable. And she was saying how 4 years ago she was like very intimidated and not comfortable, but to empower people to make decisions, to empower people to feel like their entrepreneurship is a part, or their career pivots, or their just attitude towards the Jewish community. Like it's kind of what you say, but it's also like them taking action.
Yeah.
And that's a really inspiring thing, which like partially us, but I'm always like, you're the one doing it. Like, you know, I said a few things like, you're the entrepreneur, you're the one who made the Jewish community yours, you're the one who did this career pivot. Like, so it's like, how much is us, but it's so them. And,
so them.
And it's so beautiful and like humbling to like have some credit for that. But like it's you know, here people are living their lives, which is also something I was talking about, like how much we influence versus how much we just like inspire or like, yeah.
Right. That's a good question. One other reflection that I had was, so we said this speech last night at MGE as the featured speakers, like I said, and it was a very full circle moment. But in some ways, it didn't feel full circle. It felt like we were at the top of a spiral staircase, you know, like it wasn't circular. It was right. What's that shape?
Yeah, spiral.
Spiral. Because I feel like, not that we were low down, but 4.5 years ago, but I remember feeling, oh my gosh, we're featured speakers at this dinner. This is crazy. Which honestly, I still feel that way every time I see my face on a flyer. I'm like, who's that? But
I'm with that.
But I remember just being like, is this for real? Like, we're featured speakers. And I remember being so nervous and like reflecting on everything that I said afterwards, and like just thinking like, oh, I should have said it like this or that, and this reaction and that, and like just being up there last night, it felt so comfortable. Like we just felt like this ownership over the space and over the room, and being able to go ad-lib, like off track, and just have people randomly like clap or shout or just engage the crowd, and just tell a story off the cuff that wasn't scripted, you know, just, and I would have never been able to do that in that level of comfort 4.5 years ago, even 3.5 years ago. Yeah. So it was just a cool moment of personal growth there. And also, it's been a while since we presented as a couple. I know we do this podcast sometimes, but it's very different when there's a bunch of people staring at you. So it was cool to be up there with you.
Yeah. And just one thing that we did get like a little compliment on was like our casual style. And yeah, I'm proud of us for taking like our Torah seriously, but also trying to be like lower our shoulders and like, you know, do it benachat with a sense of like comfort and calmness, and openness that like, you know, this isn't polished. Like it's always a work in progress. It's always a joint with the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll leave it at that. And yeah,
let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think. Feel free to join in.
Feel free to make a donation to Tel Aviv Jewish Experience. Let us know if you want the information.
Yeah. Send the glove. Until next time.